You've probably seen it, that perfect house. Maybe it's in your neighborhood, or you saw it online. $500,000. And you think, maybe we could do this. But here's the thing nobody tells you up front. Most people can't afford a $500K house. Not even close. And the people who can, they're making way more money than you think. We're talking numbers that sound almost unreal for a regular person. So in this video, we're going to do the math. Real math. The kind banks actually use when they decide if you qualify. And I'm warning you now, the number is going to feel uncomfortable, but that's exactly why we need to talk about it. Let's start here. $500,000 for a house in 2026, that's not a mansion. In a lot of cities, that's just a house. 3 bedrooms, maybe a small yard. In places like Denver, Austin, parts of Florida, $500K is average. It's not luxury. It's not even impressive anymore. It's just what houses cost now. So the question isn't, is this house worth it? The question is, can I actually afford this? And that's where things get real. First, let's talk down payment. Most people aim for 20%. On a $500K house, that's $100,000 cash. $100,000 just sitting there, saved up. That's before you even move in, before furniture, before anything. Now, sure, you could put down less, 10%, even 5%. But then you're paying PMI, private mortgage insurance. That adds another $200 to $400 a month. And you're borrowing more money, which means a bigger monthly payment. So let's just assume 20% down to keep this simple. So you put down $100K. Now you're financing $400,000, and in 2026, mortgage rates are sitting around 6.5% to 7%. Let's call it 7% to be realistic. At 7%, your monthly mortgage payment, just the loan itself, is about $2,660 a month for 30 years. But wait, that's not your full payment. You've also got property taxes. On a $500K house, depending on where you live, that could be $6,000 to $10,000 a year. Let's say $8,000 a year. That's another $670 a month. So now we're at $3,330 a month. Then there's homeowners insurance. That's probably another $1,500 to $2,000 a year. Let's say $1,800. That's $150 a month. So now we're at $3,480 a month. And we're still not done. If you're in an HOA neighborhood, and a lot of $500,000 houses are, that's another $100 to $300 a month. Let's say $200. Now you're at $3,680 a month. And this is all before you turn on a single light or flush a toilet or buy groceries. $3,680 a month just to own the house. That's $44,160 a year just for housing. Now, here's the rule banks use. They don't want your housing costs to be more than 28% of your gross income. That's called the front-end ratio. So if your house costs $44,160 a year, and that's supposed to be 28% of your income, we can work backwards. $44,160 divided by 0.28 equals $157,714. That's your gross household income, before taxes. Let me say that again. To comfortably afford a $500,000 house, you need to be making about $158,000 a year, gross. And that's household income. If you're single, that's all you. If you're married or have a partner, that's combined. So, do you make $158,000 a year? Because if you don't, this house isn't really for you. At least not according to the banks. Now, let's put that number in perspective. $158,000 a year. What does that actually look like in America? According to recent data, the median household income in the U.S. is around $75,000 to $80,000. That means half of the American households make less than that. So right away, we're talking about an income that's literally double what most families make. Double. Even in higher cost of living cities, $158,000 is well above average. That's not entry level. That's not even mid-level for most careers. To make $158,000 a year, you're likely in a senior role. You're a manager, a director, maybe a specialist in tech, finance, healthcare, or law. Or you're a dual income household where both people are making good money, like $80,000 each. That's two solid careers pulling together. But if you're single, or if one partner stays home with kids, or if you're just starting your career, this house is out of reach. And here's the part that hurts. Even if you make $158,000, that's gross, before taxes. Your actual take-home is way less. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare. Depending on your state, you're taking home maybe $110,000 to $115,000 after everything. That's about $9,500 a month take home. And remember, your house payment is $3,680. That's almost 40% of your take-home pay. So, yeah, you can afford the house, technically, but what's left for everything else? You still need to eat. You've got car payments, insurance, gas, maybe student loans, credit card bills, phone, internet, utilities. If you have kids, daycare costs $1,000 to $2,000 a month per child. Suddenly, that $9,500 take-home is disappearing fast. And don't forget, you just spent $100,000 on the down payment. That probably wiped out most of your savings. What if something breaks? The roof starts leaking. The furnace dies. The water heater quits. Those aren't small bills. That's $5,000, $8,000, $12,000 you suddenly need. And you can't just ignore it. You own the house now. There's no landlord to call. It's on you. So even at $158,000 a year, you're not living some luxury lifestyle. You're comfortable, maybe, if nothing goes wrong.
And here's what really messes with people. Even at that income level, you might still feel broke because everything is just more expensive than it used to be.
Groceries, gas, insurance, healthcare, it all adds up. So you're making six figures, and you still have to budget carefully. You still have to think twice. Now, let's talk about what happens if you don't make $158,000. What if you make, say, $100,000? That's still a great income. At $100,000 gross, your take-home is maybe $72,000 a year, or $6,000 a month. And that $3,680 house payment, that's over 60% of your take-home. The bank probably won't even approve you. And even if they do, you'd be what's called house poor. You have the house, but no money for life.
No vacations, no eating out, no breathing room. One car repair, one medical bill, and you're in trouble. That's not sustainable. That's financial stress every single day.
So here's the harsh truth. If you're making less than $150,000 a year as a household, a $500,000 house is probably a bad idea.
Not impossible, but bad. Risky. Stressful. The kind of decision that might look good on paper but ruins your daily life. Okay, so we've covered the big stuff. The mortgage, the taxes, the insurance. But there's a whole layer of costs people don't think about until they're actually living in the house. Let's start with utilities. Water, electricity, gas, trash, sewer. In a 500K house, which is probably 2,000 plus square feet, you're looking at $250 to $400 a month depending on the season. Then there's lawn care. If you've got a yard, and most 500K houses do, you're either spending your weekends mowing or paying someone $100 to $200 a month to do it. Landscaping, tree trimming, fertilizer, sprinkler repairs. It's not huge money, but it's constant. Little things that add $50 here, $80 there. And pest control. Termites, ants, mice, rats. Depending on where you live, you're probably paying $30 to $80 a month just to keep bugs and rodents out of your investment. Then, internet and cable or streaming. Even if you cut cable, you still need fast internet for work. That's $80 to $120 a month. Not optional anymore. Security system? Another $30 to $60 a month. And if you're in a nice neighborhood with a $500,000 house, you probably want one. Let's add it up. Utilities, lawn care, pest control, internet, security. That's easily another $500 to $700 a month. Every month. Forever. So now your actual monthly cost of living in this house isn't $3,680. It's more like $4,200 to $4,400. And we still haven't talked about maintenance. Here's the rule of thumb. You should budget 1% to 2% of your home's value per year for maintenance and repairs. On a 500K house, that's $5,000 to $10,000 a year. That's not a monthly bill. It's lumpy. One year, nothing breaks. The next year, the AC dies and costs you $7,000. But it averages out. So if we take the middle, $7,500 a year for maintenance, that's another $625 a month you should be setting aside. Most people don't, and that's how they get crushed. Now we're at $4,800 to $5,000 a month total cost of ownership. And that's assuming nothing unusual happens. No flood, no fire, no foundation issues. And remember, we started with $158,000 gross income. After taxes, that's about $9,500 take home. Half of that, gone, just for the house. That remaining $4,500, that's for your car, your food, your student loans, your retirement, your kids, your health care, your life. Let's say you've got 2 cars, insurance, gas, maintenance, maybe a car payment. That's $800 to $1,200 a month easy. Now you're down to $3,300. Groceries for a family? $800 to $1,000 a month. Maybe more if you're trying to eat healthy. Down to $2,300. Health insurance premiums, co-pays, deductibles. If your employer doesn't cover everything, that's another $300 to $600 a month, down to $1,700. Student loans? Average payment is around $200 to $400 a month for people still paying them off, down to $1,300. Retirement savings? If you want to retire someday, you should be putting away at least $500 to $1,000 a month, down to $300 to $800 left. And that's it. That's what you have left for everything else. Clothes, phone bills, kids' activities, date nights, haircuts, gifts, emergencies. See how tight it gets. Even at $158,000 a year, an income most Americans will never make, you're still living paycheck to paycheck if you buy a 500K house. And this is assuming everything goes right. Nobody loses their job, nobody gets sick, no major car accidents, no surprise pregnancies. But life doesn't work that way. Things happen. And when they do, if you've got no financial cushion because your house ate everything, you're in real trouble. This is why financial experts always say, just because you can afford the payment doesn't mean you can afford the house.
The payment is just the starting point. The real cost is how it affects everything else. Your stress, your freedom, your ability to handle life when it gets hard.
All right, so we've done the math, we've seen the reality. Now the question is, what do you actually do with this information?
Because here's the thing, I'm not saying you should never buy a house. I'm saying you need to be brutally honest about what you can actually handle. If you're making $100,000 or less, a $500K house is gonna hurt. It's gonna change your quality of life in ways you might not be ready for. Maybe you can make it work. Maybe you sacrifice vacations, eating out, new clothes, hobbies. Maybe you're okay with that. But you need to go in with your eyes open. If you're making between $100,000 and $150,000, it's borderline. You can probably do it, but it's going to be tight. You'll need to be disciplined. Every dollar will matter.
And if you're making $158,000 or more, congratulations, you're in the zone. But even then, don't go crazy. Don't assume you're rich just because you can afford this house.
Because remember, you're still spending half your take-home on housing. That's not financial freedom. That's just surviving at a higher level.
So, here are some alternatives. Option 1. Buy a cheaper house. I know, groundbreaking advice. But seriously, what if you bought a $350,000 house instead?
Your monthly payment drops to around $2,600. Add taxes and insurance, you're at maybe $3,200 total. That's $1,200 less every month. That's breathing room.
Yeah, the house is smaller. Maybe the neighborhood isn't quite as nice. But you can actually live. You can save. You can handle emergencies without panic. Option 2, wait. I know nobody wants to hear this, but if you're not making enough yet, maybe the answer is just not now.
Keep renting. Build your career. Increase your income. Save a bigger down payment. There's no rule that says you have to buy right now.
Yeah, rent feels like throwing money away. I get it. But you know what's worse? Buying a house you can't afford and spending the next 10 years stressed, broke, and trapped.
Option 3, move. And I know that's not easy. But if you're dead set on owning, maybe you need to consider a different city or state where $500K goes further.
In some parts of the Midwest or South, $500K buys you a huge house. In some coastal cities, it barely gets you a condo. Location matters enormously.
Now, I'm not saying uproot your whole life. But if home ownership is your goal and you're flexible about where you live, it opens up possibilities. Option 4, buy with someone. A partner, a spouse, even a trusted friend or family member. Dual income makes this way more manageable.
2 people making $80,000 each gets you to $160,000 household income. Suddenly, a $500K house goes from impossible to reasonable. That's how most people actually do this.
But here's the risk. If that relationship ends or someone loses their job, you're both on the hook. So you better trust that person completely. And finally, option 5, challenge the entire idea. Do you even want a house, or do you want it because everyone says you should? Because there's this narrative in America that owning a home is the dream. It's success. It's adulthood. But what if it's just a choice, and for you, it might not be the right one? Maybe you value flexibility. Maybe you move a lot for work. Maybe you'd rather invest your money differently and rent a place you actually enjoy. There's no law that says you have to own. And honestly, some of the wealthiest people I know rent. They put their money into businesses, stocks, other investments. Owning a home ties up a massive amount of your money in one asset. It's not very diversified. It's not liquid. You can't sell a bedroom when you need cash. So really think about it. Why do you want a 500K house? Is it because you genuinely want that life, or because you think you're supposed to?
Because if it's the latter, you might be signing up for decades of stress just to check a box that doesn't actually matter to you.
Look, I know this whole video has been kind of heavy, but I'd rather you feel uncomfortable now than financially destroyed later.
The math doesn't lie. A $500,000 house requires serious income, more than most people make, and that's just reality. But knowing that gives you power. You can make a real decision instead of just hoping it works out. You can plan. You can adjust. You can choose what's actually right for you. So do the math for your situation. Be honest, and then make the choice that lets you sleep at night, not the one that impresses people who don't pay your bills.
Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.